Hello, and welcome to Starry Storytime, a gentle, soothing space where evening stories and soft whispers guide you into a peaceful night's rest. Tonight, we're offering another relaxing tale designed to help ease your mind and lead you toward a comforting slumber. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for deep rest. Find a comfortable position, and with each slow inhale and soft exhale, let any worries from the day quietly slip away. It can be challenging to step away from the day's hustle, especially when it's time to sleep. Yet remember, the less we worry about falling asleep, the easier it becomes for our minds to let go of lingering tension. Allow the gentle rhythm of your breath to wash away any remaining concerns, and let tonight's story guide you into serenity. Now, settle in and let the soothing aura of Starry Storytime surround you. May you enjoy this story and drift into a tranquil, restorative night's sleep. Years beyond memory, where a broad, languid river coiled like a silver serpent, stood Ethelberg, the jewel of the kingdom. Its eminence was undeniable, for within its heart resided the royal lineage, housed in a palace of breathtaking beauty. The river, the city's lifeblood, pulsed with commerce. Its port was a nexus, dispatching and welcoming vessels laden with goods that journeyed downstream to the coastal towns and ventured into the vastness beyond. This artery of trade, coupled with Ethelberg's sterling reputation, infused the city with a vibrant, prosperous energy. Merchants, their fortunes flourishing, erected dignified mansions along both banks. Bridges, ethereal spans of stone and grace, seemed to float weightlessly across the water, uniting the lives on the left with those on the right. Even artisans of humbler means felt the benevolent current. Smiths found ample horseshoes to forge, toolmakers shaped implements for eager hands, and apothecaries mixed potions for a thriving populace. The old wisdom held true. The swelling river lifts every boat, and the citizens of this fortunate realm basked in its truth. The king, Valerius, possessed a genial spirit, a man inclined towards festivity, perhaps even bordering on the carefree. His sole heir was the Princess Lyra, a figure of widespread admiration. Hopeful contenders for her hand arrived from neighboring realms, bearing treasures meant to dazzle. Cascades of jewels, fragrant soaps in carved boxes, intricate mechanical songbirds, chests of exotic teas, and rare spices. Each suitor endeavored to eclipse the last in his opulent declaration of affection. Yet their rivalry was but one obstacle. Providence had gifted Lyra not only with luminous beauty and a resolute will, but also with a keen, abundant intellect. Consequently, she felt no urgency to commit to matrimony. Destined for the throne, her life had been a tapestry woven with study. She delved into classical philosophies, mastered foreign tongues, absorbed histories, and cultivated a deep understanding of music. Lyra held elevated expectations for any prospective husband, and suitor after suitor found himself adrift in the currents of her conversation. One by one, they faced gentle but firm refusal. King Valerius, for his part, felt no pressing need for her swift betrothal. He was frequently immersed in the pleasures of his own existence, swept up in the court's diversions, rarely pausing to contest her choices. Valerius owned a magnificent alabaster steed, and solitary gallops were among his chief delights. On one such afternoon, while savoring a canter through sun-dappled woods, a cunning fox darted across their path, startling the horse. The loyal creature reared violently, unseating the king. Though largely unharmed, his foot became ensnared in the stirrup during the fall. Days of rest followed. Court healers applied countless poultices, yet the royal foot never truly recovered its former ease. Walking, alas, became a persistent discomfort, casting a shadow over his prospect of enjoying life as he once had. Some time later, a new suitor presented Princess Lyra with a truly remarkable gift. A pair of slippers, crafted from silk as soft as a sigh, dyed the palest shade of dawn pink. These slippers, the suitor claimed, held an enchantment allowing ceaseless dancing, without the slightest ache of fatigue. Lyra, ever the pragmatist, harbored skepticism. Yet, embracing a spirit of empirical inquiry, she donned the slippers for a glittering ball hosted by a city magnate the following evening. To her astonishment, the promise held fast. She danced with tireless grace through the night and well into the next day, stopping only when sheer exhaustion claimed her. Miraculously, her feet felt as refreshed after the final measure as they had before the first. Intrigued by their provenance, she questioned the suitor. He confessed to acquiring them at great expense from a renowned itinerant cordwainer who had traversed his own kingdom. An idea sparked within Lyra. Could such artistry benefit her father? If similar ingenuity could be applied to the king's affliction, perhaps his joyful stride could be restored. She dispatched one of Valerius's most devoted and fleet-footed servants with instructions to locate this elusive craftsman, promising extravagant reward for a miraculous solution. Weeks stretched into a month, and King Valerius remained largely confined, his spirits low. When the king languished, a pall fell over Ethelberg. Festivities ceased. Without their monarch orchestrating the customary celebrations, the entire city found its rhythm dulled, its customary sparkle diminished. At long last, the servant returned, the fabled cordwainer in tow. A ripple of anticipation surged through the court. Whispers circulated that their guest carried with him a shoe purported to banish the king's discomfort entirely, its presentation set for the throne room the very next day. Naturally, the cordwainer was installed in the palace's most sumptuous guest suite. He occupied his chamber with an air of consequence, directing footmen to place a distinctive, richly carved wooden chest at the foot of his bed. All eyes were drawn to this chest, for within it, everyone surmised, lay the king's salvation. Among the palace staff was a young man named Calin, tasked with tending fireplaces and maintaining order in the rooms. Calin possessed a quiet handsomeness and a sharp mind, nurtured by his uncle, proprietor of a local bookshop. This upbringing had steeped him in literature, though his pockets remained empty. Securing employment at the palace represented his most pragmatic path to solvency. Thus, he labored diligently day after day, tending hearths without complaint. Caelan entered the celebrated cordwainer's chamber after the man had descended for the evening meal. He built up the fire, his gaze sweeping the room for any disarray. It landed upon the intricately worked wooden box. Like everyone else, he felt its significance and succumbed to a fleeting impulse to glimpse its contents. Fingers tracing the elaborate carvings, he decided a swift peek could do no harm. He lifted the heavy metal latch and peered inside. There, nestled upon deep purple velvet, lay a single large slipper of immaculate white silk. He dared not touch it, lest soot mar its perfection. Never had he beheld footwear so exquisite. As he admired it, a sound echoed from the corridor, the cordwainer returning. Hastily, Caelan secured the lid and slipped beneath the heavy bed hangings, concealing himself behind the dust ruffle. The cordwainer entered. Caelan heard the soft clink of items being placed upon a nearby table. Pressing his cheek to the cool floorboards, he could just discern the man arranging a small jar and a soft brush. The man then approached the wooden chest, perilously close to Caelan's hiding place, but remained oblivious to his presence. He retrieved the pristine white slipper. Carrying it back to the table, he proceeded to delicately brush the slipper's interior with a powder from the jar, a substance that shimmered momentarily in the firelight. He tapped the brush thrice against the jar's rim, resealed it, and carefully stowed away both tools and slipper. His task complete, humming a cheerful tune, the cordwainer donned a velvet cloak and departed the chamber once more. Certain he was alone, Caelan emerged from beneath the bed. The table stood empty. The chest was securely latched. Unwilling to risk discovery, he quit the room and resumed his duties. Yet as he swept and tidied, the image of the slipper and the glittering powder occupied his thoughts. What purpose did that clandestine application serve? Caelan was not present in the throne room for the grand unveiling the next day, but the servants' network carried the news swiftly. The shoe was a triumph. Gossip painted a picture of the king's pain, vanishing the instant the slipper touched his foot. Valerius was himself again, already seen strolling the gardens with members of the court, and a magnificent ball was imminent. The cordwainer, laden with gold, had departed to pursue commissions in faraway lands. A collective sigh of relief swept through Ethelbert. Life would resume its joyful cadence. King Valerius plunged back into his pursuits with gusto, soon dedicating his energies to planning a spectacular regatta on the river, an event for all citizens. The day was declared a holiday, promising games, races, and, inevitably, feasting. A royal barge was commissioned, spacious enough for dancing, where the king and his court would observe the boat races in splendor. Speculation buzzed about who would earn the privilege of an invitation aboard. The holiday dawned under a sky of brilliant sapphire. The river teemed with small boats adorned with vibrant pennants, its clear surface sparkling as if strewn with diamonds. Music drifted on the air, mingling with the tantalizing aromas of festive fare. Aboard the barge, the king and his retinue reveled, dancing, dining, and laughing as the day unfolded. Then the unforeseen occurred. Leaning over the railing to address someone in a passing craft, the king lost his footing, teetering precariously close to the water's edge. Hands reached out instantly, steadying him, but in the brief commotion, his cherished white slipper slipped from his foot. It landed on the river's surface, bobbed for a fleeting moment, then vanished beneath the glittering water. A cry arose. Swimmers, dive for the shoe. Figures in nearby boats leaned low, trailing hands through the current. Many plunged directly into the river, searching frantically. But despite every effort, the slipper remained lost to the depths. Almost immediately, the king complained of returning discomfort, an inability to bear weight on his foot. He was carried home, utterly inconsolable. In the ensuing days, the river became a hive of activity. The king pledged a handsome reward for the slipper's return. Word spread rapidly, drawing fortune seekers from adjacent kingdoms, all eager to claim the prize. They dredged the same channels, combed the same banks, sifted the same mud, yet the slipper eluded them all. Lyra observed the repeated failures, watched her father sink deeper into despondency with each passing day. One morning, her resolve solidified. She issued a proclamation. In addition to her father's reward, she would offer her hand in marriage to whoever could successfully resolve this daunting predicament. Unlike her father, Lyra held little hope of the slipper ever being found. The river was deep and had claimed far greater treasures. Her secret wish, however, was for a different kind of success, for someone possessing ingenuity, someone worthy of her respect and affection, to devise a more inventive solution to her father's suffering. Like every soul in the kingdom, Kaelin heard Lyra's declaration. Though merely a servant, he was utterly captivated by the princess, dazzled as much by her sharp intellect as by her beauty. Kaelin recalled shelves dedicated to sciences and the arcane arts in his uncle's bookshop. He had pored over those volumes in his youth, marveling at the mysteries they contained. While ignorant of enchanted footwear, he hadn't forgotten the cordwainer's furtive dusting of the king's slipper. Logic dictated the powder itself held the key to the pain relief. Kaelin resolved to seek the source of the treatment, rather than squander time searching for the lost shoe. His pursuit became relentless. While the riverbanks thronged with hopeful divers, Kaelin dedicated every spare moment to his uncle's bookshop. It was a sanctuary piled high with tomes of every description. Culinary guides and worn histories jostled for space. Classical texts in myriad languages lay beside stacks of novels and storybooks. poetry collections leaned precariously. Here and there, a cozy, worn armchair nestled in a quiet corner invited hours of immersive reading. Kaelin haunted these nooks, borrowing volumes on alchemy and herbalism, carrying them back to the palace to study in stolen moments. One day, buried within a dusty treatise on plant lore, he found it. Mention of a flower native to a specific plateau in a nearby kingdom. Its pollen possessed potent analgesic properties, but required harvesting by moonlight and resisted dilution or dissolution. It must be applied in its pure, powdery form. Consulting maps, Kaelin estimated the journey would demand roughly a week's travel each way by horseback. He possessed no horse, nor did his uncle. Any acquaintance fortunate enough to own one could scarcely spare it for weeks on end. Reaching this miraculous plant represented his sole chance to alleviate the king's suffering and perhaps, just perhaps, win Lyra's regard. Risking everything, he determined to address the king at the next public audience. Later that week, he joined the queue of citizens, awaiting their turn outside the royal chambers. These audiences were notoriously lengthy, often fraying the king's patience as the day wore on. Unfortunately for Kaelin, he stood near the end of the line. After many hours, with only a few petitioners remaining, Kaelin finally stood before the king. Valerius gestured impatiently, indicating Kaelin should state his business quickly. "Your Highness," Kaelin began, his voice steady despite his pounding heart. "I believe I have discovered a means to cure your affliction, but I require the loan of a horse." A collective gasp arose from the assembled courtiers. The sheer audacity, a servant boy requesting a royal steed, proposing a cure where experts had failed, was preposterous. Sensing his window closing, Kaelin pressed on. "There is a flower," he explained, "that grows in a particular place. I know its location, but reaching it on foot would take a month. If your Highness could grant me a horse, I could return within 2 weeks and relieve your pain." Murmurs and stifled laughter rippled through the nobles. The king shifted on his throne. Kaelin braced for dismissal, but the king's response stunned everyone. "Give this boy a horse and send him on his way," Valerius declared, silencing the room. "If he succeeds where all of you have floundered, it will be worth the wager." With a theatrical wave, he dismissed Kaelin and signaled the audience's end. Princess Lyra, seated nearby throughout this extraordinary exchange, felt a surge of intrigue. This young man's sensible, alternative approach commanded her immediate respect. She admired cleverness, and his courage in presenting such a bold petition was undeniable. Though wary of false hope, the princess found herself secretly wishing Kaelin might indeed achieve the impossible. Meanwhile, Kaelin hurried to prepare. News of his audience traveled like wildfire through the palace corridors. Every servant buzzed with speculation. A wave of camaraderie surrounded him as he readied himself. The head cook packed generous provisions. The grooms selected one of the sturdiest horses. Every eye was now upon Calin. He departed the following dawn, carrying his food, water, the precious herbalist text, and a map provided by his uncle, who held unwavering faith in his nephew's diligence and bravery. Soon, Calin rode further beyond the city walls than ever before. He crossed the familiar placid river, traversed a dense forest, navigated a wind-swept mountain pass, and emerged onto the grassy plains beyond. He pushed himself and his mount, riding long hours, pausing only for essential rest. When at last vast fields of waving wildflowers stretched before him, he knew he had arrived. Retrieving the vital herbalist book, he dismounted, allowing his horse to graze while he began methodically circling the area, comparing blossoms to the illustration. The search consumed the better part of the day. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues, he discovered a large cluster of white flowers, perfectly matching the book's description. His treasure was found. He ate a simple meal from his supplies, sitting contentedly amidst the grasses, awaiting nightfall. According to the text, darkness would coax the flowers open, revealing their potent gift. He drifted into slumber beneath the twilight's embers. The hoot of an owl roused him some time later. He sat up in the cool, moon-washed darkness, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Before him, luminous in the silvery light, lay a sea of open blooms. Taking his jar, just as the book instructed, he moved with painstaking care, lightly tapping each open flower, gently shaking its glittering pollen into the container. He worked patiently, moving from cluster to cluster until the jar was completely full. He secured the lid tightly and placed the jar safely within his saddlebag. As dawn painted the eastern sky, Calin was already urging his horse homeward. Yet a question nagged at his mind. What if the powder failed? Everything hinged on this single, untested remedy. Back through the windy pass he rode, back through the deep forest. In roughly a week, the familiar silhouette of Ethelberg rose before him. He crossed one of the soaring bridges, his heart a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation. His return to the stable yard sparked immediate excitement among the staff. Servants gathered, eager for news. Had he found it? What was the journey like? Would the cure truly work? Calin offered polite but brief responses, stating he couldn't answer fully yet. He carefully withdrew the precious jar and secured it in his coat pocket. As the crowd dispersed, he bowed respectfully to one of the lady's maids, requesting a small favor. Might I borrow a soft brush, the sort a lady uses for face powder? Of course. The maid readily agreed and fetched one while Kaelin waited. Clutching the brush, he returned the herbalist book and map to his uncle's shop, along with the jar of potent pollen. Tomorrow, he would face the king once more. By the following day, news of Kaelin's return had permeated the city. The audacious young man, previously unnoticed, was now the subject of intense curiosity. By royal command, Kaelin was granted the first audience of the day. As the majestic carved double doors of the throne room swung inward, he inhaled deeply, straightened his shoulders, and fought to quell the rising tide of doubt. He walked towards the dais where the king sat, Princess Lyra at his side. The chamber felt unusually crowded. The entire court seemed to have assembled for this spectacle. Bowing low, Kaelin began. "Your Majesty, I have returned with what I believe will end your pain," he stated clearly. "But it requires no special shoe." The king regarded him with unconcealed skepticism. Kaelin continued, drawing the jar and the small brush from his coat. "If you would permit me access to the shoe you currently wear, I shall demonstrate," he proposed. The request was highly irregular, a commoner handling the king's footwear. Yet, after a moment's hesitation, Valerius nodded his assent. A servant knelt and carefully removed the king's silk shoe. Kaelin inclined his head respectfully, took the shoe, and uncapped the jar. Using the borrowed brush, he meticulously dusted the interior lining with the shimmering pollen, precisely mimicking the actions he'd witnessed from beneath the cordwainer's bed. The application complete, the decisive moment arrived. Kaelin returned the shoe to the waiting servant, who gently eased it back onto the king's foot. Kaelin risked a glance towards Lyra. Her eyes were wide, her breath held captive. The king stood. He flexed his ankle. He took a tentative step, then another. A broad smile illuminated his face. He hopped lightly, once, twice. Then, overcome with relief and joy, he began to dance, waving his hands exuberantly above his head. The throne room erupted in a cacophony of astonished chatter from 100 nobles witnessing the most extraordinary event in recent memory. But for Kaelin, only one reaction mattered. Shyly, he turned and met Lyra's gaze directly. To his profound relief, she offered him a radiant smile in return. Though all attention focused on the jubilant king, in that shared glance, Kaelin and Lyra knew their own story had just begun. And so, King Valerius was restored to his former ebullient self. Realizing the slipper held no intrinsic magic, he commissioned an entire wardrobe of footwear in various colors, each ready to receive its dusting of beneficial pollen. Numerous parties and festivals filled the calendar that year, yet none surpassed the splendor of Lyra and Kaelin's wedding. the pair became inseparable, often seen strolling the palace gardens even before their nuptials, lost in animated conversation. Together, they founded an extensive library within the palace walls, generously stocked, naturally, by Kaylin's delighted uncle. It boasted comfortable armchairs, tall rolling ladders for reaching the highest shelves, and large tables displaying expansive books of maps. For Lyra and Kaylin keenly felt they both still had much reading ahead of them. The king rarely ventured into the library, but he was happy once more, and contentment returned to the citizens of the glittering city on the river. With Lyra and Kaylin destined to inherit the crown, the kingdom looked forward to a future blessed by continued merriment, enduring prosperity, and sound, intelligent governance. Let your focus drift now inward onto the canvas of imagination. Our scene unfolds upon a hushed street nestled within the sprawling metropolis, sometime after the sun has dipped below the horizon, leaving a crepuscular glow. Street lamps cast pools of warm, amber luminescence. Here, though enveloped by the city's vastness, the faint, familiar thrum of crickets still weaves itself beneath the urban symphony. The distant murmur of traffic, the echoes of footsteps on other pavements, lives moving towards evening meals, late-night theaters, or simple twilight ambles. Yet this particular side street remains tranquil. An infrequent automobile glides past, but mostly the passers-by are few. Solitary figures walking dogs, others en route to more labyrinthine, bustling avenues. Before you stands a towering edifice, its facade sheer glass reaching towards the deepening indigo sky. Clouds drift overhead, catching the city's refracted light, painted in transient washes of white, gold, rose, and faint cerulean. For a beat, you turn from the building, gazing at the skyline unfurling beyond the street's confines. The city radiates outwards, an intricate web of existence. Pinpricks of light wink alive or fade as souls journey from office to home, to reunions, or perhaps begin the nocturnal rhythm of their work. You witness distant skyscraper windows ignite as others dim. Such ceaseless vitality pulses through the city, an invigorating current. There's a strange comfort, you muse, in the knowledge of myriad unseen lives unfolding concurrently with your own. Though acquainted with only a handful here, a sense of connection resonates, a shared thread in life's tapestry, woven even across the distance. With a quiet sigh of contentment, you pivot back towards the structure. Its glass skin mirrors the urban constellations and the ethereal drift of clouds above. No sign adorns the opalescent sheen, merely a number. You stumbled upon the address almost serendipitously, scrawled on a flyer tacked to a lamppost, its tear-away tabs dangling, advertising a place intriguingly named the Ethereum Spa. With the evening stretching unplanned before you, it felt like the perfect moment to investigate this curiosity. The entrance is a door of mirrored glass. Interior lights are discernible as a soft glow, yet all you see is your own reflection superimposed upon the city retreating behind you. A long, polished chrome bar serves as the handle. No time like now, you murmur inwardly, extending a hand to push gently. The door yields, swinging inward, revealing the soothing embrace of warm, white light. You step across the threshold, the door whispering shut behind you. A moment's pause allows your eyes to acclimate from the night's dimness. You find yourself in a lobby of understated elegance. Flanking the entrance stand, large, white ceramic planters, each cradling plants with tall, fan-like fronds, lending verdant grace to the predominantly white and cream palette. Ahead lies a bank of elevators, each accented with gleaming gold trim. This same lustrous gold adorns the call buttons and the overhead light fixtures. The space seems deliberately minimalist. No reception desk, no branching corridors, just the elevators and your presence. Your footsteps echo softly on the polished marble floor as you approach the nearest lift. A brief contemplation, then you press the upward pointing arrow to the rooftop spa, after all. Seconds later, a delicate chime signals the imminent parting of polished white doors. They slide open to unveil a glass elevator car, also trimmed in gold. Every surface gleams, freshly buffed. Stepping inside, you turn to the control panel. At the apex, a button marked simply A. Beside it, elegant engraving declares, Ethereum Spa. You press it softly. The same delicate chime sounds before the doors seal you within. With barely a susurrus, the glass capsule commences its ascent. As it glides upward at an unhurried pace, the building's design reveals its brilliance. The transparent walls offer an uninterrupted vista through the structure's glass skin. Mesmerized, you watch the city unfurl beneath you, its lights scattering like fallen stars towards the horizon. This long past sunset, only the faintest trace of day remains, a deep, bruised orange bleeding into the encroaching blackness. Gazing higher, past the spires and towers, past apartments, billboards, and office blocks, you see a night sky pricked with distant, glittering stars. A few attenuated clouds meander across this celestial canvas, reflecting the city's glow back upon itself. The spectacle is truly breathtaking. With each floor ascended, the panorama expands. Taxis and cars shrink, becoming mere specks of polychrome light far below. Traffic signals and illuminated signs transform into fairy lights, tiny enough to adorn a window pane. You float upwards as if destined for the stars themselves, until the elevator slows to a gentle halt. The delicate chime resonates once more. This time, the opening doors reveal an elegant waiting area. Each corner boasts large, leafy plants akin to those downstairs, their presence augmented by hanging vines tracing patterns on the walls. To one side sits a check-in desk. In the same fanciful script seen in the lift, the Ethereum Spa is emblazoned in gold across its front. The wall behind it is a marvel. A floor-to-ceiling waterfall fountain, curtains of water streaming down glass into a shallow basin below. For a moment, you close your eyes, absorbing the quiet cascade, the sound instantly soothing your thoughts. You draw a deep breath, welcoming the nascent calm, and release it, feeling subtly refreshed. Opening your eyes, you find someone now stands behind the desk, awaiting you. She offers a warm smile, beckoning you closer. You explain about finding the address, how the name piqued your curiosity. "Many find us this way," she replies, her voice soft. "We are something of a hidden jewel," she adds, expressing pleasure that you found your way here tonight. She outlines various offerings, but recommends the starlight immersion for newcomers. Time in one of their finest rooms, culminating in a dip in the pool beneath the open sky. It sounds perfectly restorative, you agree? She presents you with a robe and complimentary slippers, then gestures towards a hallway on the left. "That is where you'll begin when you're ready," she instructs. You thank her, and a contented smile forming, proceed down the indicated hall. The first door opens into a changing room. You don the robe. It's impossibly soft, a plush, comforting weight. It features large pockets and a deep hood, which you momentarily pull up, rubbing the fabric gently against your cheek, coaxing forth that satisfied smile. Letting the hood fall back, you slide your feet into the matching slippers, a perfect fit. You settle onto a simple yet elegant bamboo bench, seemingly crafted from a single piece of wood, bent and sculpted into its form. You trace its lines mentally, pondering its creation, feeling your mind drift into restful contemplation. Lingering anxieties from the day dissipate in this tranquil sanctuary. Your mind feels open now, receptive to curiosity, to creative meanders. It's as if mind and body are finally permitted to breathe in unison. In, out, unburdened by the day's hurried rhythm. As you breathe, you become aware of the soothing aroma of lavender permeating the air, carrying with it a wave of relaxation that spreads through your limbs. Your eyes drift closed, focusing on the gentle fragrance. You are utterly present, anchored in this moment, these surroundings, here at the Ethereum Spa. Soon, the sound of quiet footsteps in the hall prompts you to open your eyes. The woman who greeted you, Seraphina, you decide to call her in your mind, has returned to guide you. Rising from the bamboo bench, you follow her down the hall. She turns right, leading you towards a dimly lit room on the left. Once your vision adjusts to the lower light, Seraphina ushers you into an adjoining space that steals your breath. 2 entire walls are floor-to-ceiling glass, offering a near panoramic vista of the city lights below. At the room's heart sits a hot tub, its water bubbling around active jets. The steam carries the distinct scent of lavender. A narrow bamboo path leads from the doorway to the tub's edge, but the most arresting feature is the constellation of candles. Hundreds of white pillar candles adorn the floor, their flames flickering, dancing, reflecting in the glass walls, mirroring the urban glitter outside. Looking up, you realize the ceiling is mirrored glass, multiplying the candlelight into an illusion of a star-filled night sky indoors. The room is yours for as long as you wish, Seraphina murmurs. You gaze, awestruck, at the candlelit tableau, thanking her before she quietly departs. You tread the bamboo path, winding between rows upon rows of shimmering candles. The way each flame quivers, distinct from its neighbors, evokes fireflies blinking on a summer night. The path culminates at the tub, perfectly square, raised slightly. Its outer edge is lined with bamboo slats, forming benches for repose. The calming lavender scent is pronounced here, yet gentle, not overwhelming. Closing your eyes, you could almost imagine standing amidst lavender bushes, swaying in a soft breeze. But the warm steam and the soft burble of the jets soon draw you back from reverie to the present. You inhale deeply, noting how the fragrant air fills your senses, then exhale, discerning the aroma's complexities, mingling with the steam. Now, you are ready. You pause momentarily on the bamboo bench before slowly dipping your feet into the water. Warmth radiates instantly through you as the bubbling, frothing water kisses the soles of your feet. Unwilling to rush, you let your feet dangle, feeling the effervescent churn beneath your toes. Then calmly, you lower them further, soles, toes, heels, submerging up to your ankles. Shifting your weight, you allow the water to climb your shins, your calves. Finally, the moment arrives. You ease yourself fully into the tub, surrendering to the clear, lavender-scented water as it envelops and buoys your body. After a few moments, you adjust your position until the jets gently knead your lower back and shoulder blades. With each pulse of warm water and bubbles, you feel muscles unknotting, tension dissolving. Settled, you gaze out through the glass at the city sprawled below. Skyscrapers preside over apartment blocks, which in turn loom over parks where trees appear as silvered clusters in the moonlight. Cars flow in streams of white and red light, crisscrossing the busy arteries far beneath. Above, the city's luminescence paints the sky, yet a wondrous array of stars still pierces the veil, peeking from behind wayward clouds drifting across the nocturnal expanse. For a while, you lose yourself in the profound tranquility of this moment. Time seems elastic. You're unsure how long you soak in the bubbling warmth, watching the city sparkle, but eventually, a desire for something cooler, a different perspective, gently surfaces. Climbing out, you wrap the soft robe around yourself, sinking into its plush embrace. Soon, Serafina reappears. The final experience awaits outside, she says, a knowing smile playing on her lips. The thought is intriguing. Anticipation quickens within you. She leads you from the candlelit haven down another hallway. At its end, she pushes a long metal bar, opening a glass door. You follow her out onto the rooftop. A light breeze greets you, making you appreciate the warm, snug robe and slippers. The air isn't cold, though. It possesses the perfect crispness for a night like this. Serafina continues past wicker armchairs adorned with plump cushions, past more verdant plants in their white ceramic pots, past a pair of daybeds designed for languid afternoons. She stops before the most stunning swimming pool you have ever encountered, an infinity pool, its edge seemingly dissolving into the night, giving swimmers the illusion of floating right at the building's precipice. And from this vantage point, the view of the city is unparalleled, the best yet. Again, enjoy it for as long as you desire, she tells you, before turning back towards the interior. You murmur your thanks for her gracious hospitality, then turn back to the pool. It glows an arresting turquoise blue, soft lights shimmering beneath the water's surface. Tentatively, you dip a toe in, heat it. No need to worry about the rooftop chill. You take your time entering, descending shallow steps into the water. At the bottom, the water reaches only your waist, so you glide towards a deeper section. Soon you're buoyant. Tucking your legs beneath you, you execute a few lazy kicks before leaning back, letting yourself float, eyes turned skyward. The heavens are strewn with countless stars tonight, an impossible number to tally, even if you floated here for hours. Instead, you locate a few familiar constellations, watching as clouds drift languidly across them, carried on the gentle breeze. The warm water cradles you like a comforting blanket as you drift across the pool's surface, surrendering to the subtle current. You focus your awareness, the lap of water against your back, the familiar clean scent of the pool mixed with rising steam, the vastness above, the temperature, the myriad sensations on your skin. In this suspended moment, gratitude washes over you for the pool's embrace, the celestial display, the magnificent city itself. Silently, you offer words of kindness to yourself. It was your own impulse, after all, that led you here, your decision to embrace the unknown tonight. The power of small choices can be easily overlooked, but tonight, you feel thankful for them, for guiding you to this place of profound calm and centering. This gratitude fills your mind, blooming into peace and tranquility. Your heart feels full, open again, sensing the intricate connection to every other soul animating the city below. This place, this experience, is now woven into the fabric of your journey, as are all the unseen lives breathing life into the metropolis tonight. Finding your balance, you sit up, paddling gently towards the far edge of the infinity pool. Here, you rest your head on your folded arms, gazing out at the cityscape and the star-dusted night sky. You are welcome to remain here as long as you wish, to return home only when sleep beckons. But for now, you will simply savor the calming vista, the sensation of warm water surrounding you. You are utterly, completely at peace, here at the Ethereum Spa.